Hey guys, Shay here from Fool on a Journey. I'm trying to catch up with all the hashtags, so here's another one for you. This is my hashtag I believe in tarot. And I spent a ton of time thinking about this, but I didn't want to take any notes because I wanted it to be sort of really honest in the moment, a little bit of just a whatever comes to mind. I do better when I just sort of let my mind go. So that is what I'm kind of doing right now. If you watched my Tipsy Tarot video, you sort of got a feel for my real sort of conversational style of reading. And it's always like that. I mean, it's always that just sort of, hey, what's up? How you doing? Just kind of checking in. You know, when I'm reading for myself, that's really what it is. I'm not having another deck conversation. This is definitely part of the hashtag, I promise. However, I do need 2 decks to make a point. I believe that, and whatever this is called, it was in a book. Like, I read a book about what it's called when you believe this particular thing about divination, but I can't remember what it's called, and I didn't feel like looking it up because this is on the fly. I believe that whatever the issue is, whatever your question is, every card is relevant. Every single card is relevant. And I almost think that people belittle that idea when you talk about every single card having an answer to whatever the question is. It gets people sort of thinking, well, then why do you even bother? And the answer is to create a focus. For example, here's the Guild Tarot, and I actually pulled this one out, not because I haven't worked with it a lot, but because it has keywords. You can ask any question in the world, and there is a way to connect the keyword on the card to that question. What does my husband think about me right now? Success. Makes me feel super loved. Success and fulfillment, and his cups are overflowing when he thinks about me. That's beautiful. But you can do that with anything. I mean, whatever the answer is, you can relate it. Whatever the question is, you can create an answer. But that does not belittle tarot. That does not take away the effectiveness of what it does. Because when you talk about 78 pieces of cardboard that can answer, and every single one can answer any question that you put to it, that's amazing. That's not taking anything away. That's amazing. When you are trying to think about how you can better yourself, when you are thinking about, psychologically, what's going on with me right now? What am I feeling right now? When you need help quieting your mind, because, to me, and this is all very personal, of course, anxiety and stress and depression are loud in your mind. They are the voices that you cannot quiet. Everything's going to go wrong. This is going to go terrible. These are all the reasons this is bad. They get very, very loud. And I just need, when I have a question in my mind and all I can hear are the bad voices screaming at me that, that it's all wrong, it's going to go wrong, it doesn't matter, what the answer is to the question, it's a failure, you're a failure. And I can say, what do I need to do right now to move forward? There you go. born of joy. I mean, that's... I just got emotional. Okay. I mean, but that's beautiful. That's what it is. And that, being able to do that with a deck of cards, that's incredible. And what I would do if I was really in a state of depression and I pulled that card, you see these people? For me, the people that I surround myself with when I need joy are my family. And I wouldn't take my problems to my family. That's not what I would get from this card. I would go hang out with my parents and watch some TV, or go see my sister and her adorable son, who's my first nephew, who I can't get enough of, and just get away from the problem. Take a step away from the problem and be happy, for a minute, then come back to it. And that's what I can do to help quiet the voices of whatever is, whether it's anxiety or being overwhelmed, or it's depression, or whatever it is. I absolutely 1000% believe that is incredible, and that is what gives me the feeling of peace. I mean, that's truly the only word I can come up with. It gives me a feeling of peace. I believe that everything that I just got from both of those cards, I already knew in my mind. I have no doubt in my mind before I pulled that card that my husband feels like our marriage is the best thing ever right now. We've been married for coming up on 5 months. Now we're coming up on 6 months. We've almost been married for half a year. Oh my God, that's amazing. But we are still glowing with the whole newlywed thing. And I didn't need that deck to tell me that he thought that about me. But every now and then I get a little insecure. We sort of have a lot of things going on right now other than just us, with things outside of our marriage, and you get insecure. So you pull a card. You knew that. You didn't need the card to tell you, but you needed the card to sift through the obnoxious amount of crap that's in your brain to bring you to what you already knew. I didn't need a deck of cards to tell me that when things are getting too much and I'm feeling overwhelmed, that I need to take a break and get away and laugh a little bit and have a good time and then come back and look at it again. I don't need cards to tell me that. That's stuff that you've heard before. People who help teach themselves how to read cards by associating quotes to cards, you're doing exactly what I'm saying right now, only faster. Because I don't have a direct quote. I don't remember who specifically told me to stop what I am doing, take a step away, go laugh, go have fun about something completely unrelated, then come back to the problem. I don't remember who told me that first. It's probably my mother, but I don't remember. But I know that. It's in my mind. It's already there. A tarot deck cannot tell you anything you don't already know. All it can do is focus to that one point that you need at the time. And you can find that point that you need in your own mind with every single card. There are 78 pieces of help here. And actually I have way more than that because I have way more than 78 decks. This is just about focusing your subconscious. I believe tarot focuses your subconscious to exactly what you need, because you already know everything that you need, but sometimes you just can't get to that one teeny tiny little thing. Another thing that is really fascinating, when I was doing a lot of my sort of spiritual research, I guess you could call it, as I was sort of creating my own personal path, one of the I can't even remember his name, but one of the, spiritualists is what you would call him, that I was sort of listening to, he talked about your memories and how you make memories and how memories are retained in your brain. There are not words running through your mind. You do not remember things in words. You remember pictures. You remember feelings. You remember maybe specific sounds. I'm trying to think of a really strong memory. Okay, here's an excellent example talking about my marriage. I remember standing at the back of the Civic Center where I got married, holding my dad's arm, and hearing the first few bars of the intro to Sweet Child of Mine that a very dear friend of ours played on his guitar. And I remember when I heard those first few notes and I'm holding onto my dad's arm, I can feel everything I felt in that moment. But there were no words. When you think back to what you remember, you don't remember words. You remember feelings and images and smells and sounds. That's what these do. These remind you of times when you learned something, of times when you felt something, of times when you whatever. These, the art, and it can be any art. To me, I like tarot more than oracle cards. I do have some oracle decks. I'm sort of learning a little bit more on how I want to use them and deal with them a little bit more regularly because I have quite a handful of them now. But you're looking at a piece of art and you are letting that art make you remember something, making you remember some feeling, making you remember, whatever. And that can be true even if you're the kind of reader who sees temperance and says a balance between opposites. But a balance between opposites from this card could mean something totally different than the balance between opposites in that card. And I believe that that's what tarot is doing. It is cueing you in to things you remember, or it's making you remember. Just to help you focus. And that really is the answer to I believe in tarot when it comes to answering questions. That is the answer. I have a really hard time with the idea of cards telling the future because I don't believe the future is set. I believe tarot can tell me the future right now. I believe that if I ask tarot right now, I've got a new aspect of my job that I'm going to be responsible for this year. If I ask about how that's going to go, right now, it's going to tell me. But, a month and a half from now, when I'm done, researching and studying more to be able to do it better, and I ask again, it's going to give me a totally different answer because now I'm more prepared than I was when I initially asked, how is it going to go? Or maybe the answer it was going to tell me was you probably should study. But, that's sort of where I'm at with as far as the fortune telling. However, there is synchronicity involved in the universe that I cannot explain and don't want to explain. Because things like pulling over the cards for you're definitely going to get married 2 days before my, now husband proposed to me, there's no explainable reason for that. Except that maybe the real answer is just now that I know what happened, when I look back in those cards, of course I see it. Maybe that's the answer. And I'm fine with that too. I am perfectly fine with that. There is nothing wrong with that. So that's sort of my tarot view. We've covered how I feel about questions. We've covered how I feel about telling the future. And then otherwise, I believe tarot is a book. And there's a lesson on every page and in every card. And sometimes you just need to sit down and learn the lesson. I talked about really wanting to learn to live a better life, and there is a lesson on every single card that I am human, and even though I know what those lessons are, I haven't truly made them a part of my life. There are so many books and so many different ways to interpret the cards, and every single one of them is valid, and every single point of view is helpful. But are you using tarot to really change your life? I'm working on it. I have tarot as a part of my, what I sort of referred to as my awareness practice. I'm sort of aware of the general tarot, I guess, energies that are currently happening, or I try to be. I don't always keep up with it perfectly, but I try to be, so right now the sun is currently in Gemini, and that is the Lovers. Make choices. Examine your options and then make the choice. Be willing to give things up to get what you want. And know when you choose things that you want that you're going to have to give things up, and don't whine about it. That is a lesson right there just from saying the sun's in Gemini, and I should be thinking about that for the entire, for the entire time the sun is in Gemini. That is what should be on my mind. That's what I should sort of be trying to get to in my heart and in my spirit. Will I? I don't know, but I'm gonna try. Are you using tarot like that? And I believe tarot can be that. I mentioned in my Path to Tarot video that church for me was, somebody giving me a lesson on Sunday, and then me taking that lesson and trying to live it through the next week. Well, preparation. There is your lesson. Spend the next week really focusing on trying to be prepared. That's another thing, I think cards of the day are good when you're learning or when you're getting to know a new deck, but I think you should spend more than a day on a card. I did pull cards of the month for this year. I'm loving it. It's been great as sort of, but that's what I'm using it for. I mean, I didn't use it to try and predict my year. It was more of what are the lessons that I need to be focused on. We just lost the powers of English. What are the lessons that I need to be focusing on during this time through the year, so that at the end of 2017 I can say I'm a better person, because that's truly what I want. I want to continue to grow as a human being and as a person, and I believe tarot can do that. So thanks for watching.